I always like to say that progress is a process. You're not going to build a brand overnight, but it is important to make those baby steps. If you think that video may help your brand, do it. If you think that starting a podcast will help your brand, do it.
Welcome to the Real Pulse of Real Estate, where we discuss the true ins and outs of the housing market. Welcome back to another episode of Real Pulse of Real Estate. Today, we are very much blessed to be joined by Brian Murray, the man, the myth, the legend.
Oh, blessed.
I know, right?
That's high praise.
Don't you have a shirt that says the man, the myth, the legend?
It's a Stein that I got as being a part of someone's wedding that says Brian Murray, the man, the myth, the legend.
Okay, that checks out. I thought I've seen that somewhere. That's why it just clicked in my head. Not that it's not accurate. It is accurate. That's why I stated it. However, welcome, Brian, to Real Pulse of Real Estate.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. It's weird to be on this side of the pulse of real estate. Usually I'm the doctor checking the pulse back behind the computer.
And that's what I was going to ask. So for those who don't know or may not have heard certain episodes where I reference Brian or anything like that, Brian, do you want to introduce yourself? Who are you? What are you doing here?
So my name is Brian Murray. I am a freelance videographer and freelance audio technician. So it's just a fancy way of saying that I do podcasts, sound design, anything within that realm. If you've watched any Adam Cron content over the past 4 years, I'd probably
It
say.
might be 5.
Yeah. But who keeps count in a marriage like this?
I know, right?
But if you watched any of his content for a long time, I've primarily been producing it for him, especially back when he was with Ken Perry. I made those videos back then, and then we took a little bit of a hiatus. Like any good TV show, we wanted to keep the audience wanting more. Came back with a new season of Adam's Answers, and we're just pushing hard on brand new content like the Real Pulse of Real Estate.
But you don't just do my stuff. You do other stuff. You do for different people. You have your own podcasts. You
Correct.
have, so again, the big thing with freelance, and you're always taking on new clients.
Yes. Yes. I work on a couple other projects. One of them is called Campfire Chats with Kim MB. So I have a friend, her name is Kim Moisner Bartlett. She is a motivational speaker. She's trying to get her brand out there. And so we run a podcast with her where she just discusses different topics, just trying to get people motivated and inspired. And so we do that podcast every so often. We've taken a little bit of a break on that because she's had some life events come up for her lately. I also run, and I cannot believe I'm about to plug this because I haven't uploaded in a long time, but I do run a Godzilla podcast called Are You There, Godzilla? Which is where I'm taking my friend Jessica through all 35 Godzilla movies, soon to be 36.
There are 35. I didn't know how many.
Yeah, right. No, that's what everyone says. Yeah. There are 35.
It's a lot.
So episode 4 is recorded. I just need to edit it, and I've just had a very busy time, but I do just about every little bit of videography and audio. I've done live musicals and plays for local high schools and Cincinnati Fringe Festival. I've done promotional videos for small businesses. I do real estate videos for you. I write music, so sometimes I do little music videos, by myself. I try to be a jack of all trades because there's just so many different ways that you can use your abilities and skills and talents, especially in a market like this.
Yes. It's all about marketing, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Or brand reputation, things like that for you. So yes, you cover a whole lot. You do a whole lot.
Yes.
You do it very well.
Oh, thank you.
How did we get here? What a loaded question.
Well, I was born in October. No. So I started my journey with videography actually in high school. So I don't know if you can tell, but I was a theater kid.
What?
Right. No, crazy.
I'm shocked and betrayed.
Yeah, Adam immediately has fired me upon hearing that I'm a theater kid.
We'll edit this episode first. And then...
I started as a theater kid back in high school, and I took a broadcast class, and I was like, oh, making videos is fun, but I want to be an actor. I want to be on the stage. I want to sing. And so when I went to college at Northern Kentucky University, I had a moment my first year where I realized I really like being behind the camera more than I like being in front of the camera. I have a face for radio.
Fair. So do I. We've talked about this with my.
We're just two ugly men.
Yeah. Well, that, and at the same time, audio wise, I sound a lot more peppy than video. I mean, how many times have we had to I slap my face up, we tell some jokes before we start recording, and it looks like someone told me 30 seconds beforehand that someone killed my dog. And like, I'm just giving this information just because that's my face.
Yeah, I mean, there have been times where I've been like, okay, smile.
Okay, maybe like feel something inside, Adam, before we do this one.
But no, so I realized I like being behind the camera, so I graduated from Northern Kentucky University with a degree in electronic media and broadcasting, which is just a funny way of saying video production.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to have had a lot of unique experiences while I was there, creating social media marketing videos for the fraternities and sororities on campus. You know, the Greek Life office. I worked for a couple of NKU offices, making videos for them as well.
You made your own campaign videos
I did,
for student
so
council, and those were the greatest student council videos of all time.
So if anyone is ever bored and want to see a real campaign run well, you know, or wants to hire me for political ads, I do have a series of political ads I made when I was a student at NKU, where I ran for vice president with my friend Kyle Taylor in the SGA elections. And so I'm sure Adam can link those somewhere, maybe in the description of this podcast.
Those are still some of the most magical videos I've ever seen.
When I got beautiful comments, one of my professors come up to me and they said, you know, we have a lot of doubts that we're actually, you know, training people the right way in our college, and that, you know, that people are actually going on and getting skills and doing good things in the world.
And utilizing what they've been taught.
Right.
Yeah.
But then we saw your videos and we knew, oh, man, we're doing a good job.
That's fair.
I feel very fortunate to have had a lot of different experiences, you know, just a lot of different facets of learning. After I graduated college, I did wedding videos for a couple years, and I was in a production company with some of my friends. And so we did weddings. We did some music videos for pop punk bands, you know, just learning lots of different facets. And what I always tell people is that I've never finished learning. You know, every video I do, every podcast I do, I'm always trying something new, attempting to do something I haven't done before. And so you'll notice as we go through like some of the catalog of Adam's answers, you know, some of the first ones of the new season, the lighting has changed since then. The locations have changed since then. We're always trying something new. We're innovating. We're trying to make it look nice.
And there's touches that you and I have communicated on, and like you said, we're always changing, so there's always going to be something new that grabs people's attention, that we have to go off of. But there are things that you'll do that you'll note that I didn't even notice in the edit, that are subtle changes that make a difference, but it's almost so subtle of a difference I don't notice how much more enjoyable it is until you point it out.
I always like to say that it's the changes you don't notice that make the biggest impact, especially with sound. You may not hear the hum of the air conditioner in the background when you're recording something, but it's present in the edit. And so finding ways to work around that, or maybe adding like little cues or little snippets here or there, it can really add to the experience.
Well, and me trying to be as subtle as I'm picking up my drink and I'm very gingerly putting it back down, because I always say we should put coasters here and then I forget to bring coasters.
Well, it's funny too, because before we started this podcast, I did a quick test with my cup, and so it sounds like, but because I'm aware of it, I put a piece of paper, so now it sounds like. Which is funny, because to the audience they're probably like, he just muted it.
Yeah, that's all he did. He just put a second of silence there.
But to finish this long rambling story of my youth and my childhood and my skills, I then took my talents to Kona Ice corporate headquarters here in Burlington, Kentucky, where I worked as part of their creative team. I was on a group of anywhere from 8 to 14 people at any given time, where I was working on their educational videos internally, as well as their in-house podcast and their social media videos. So if you look at some of the Kona Ice marketing from the past 2 years, I was involved in a lot of that. Then I decided one day, when my views didn't kind of align with what Kona was doing anymore, I decided to take my talents to South Beach, as it will. And
you
so
pulled the LeBron.
Yeah, of course, because I'm totally LeBron. You ever see me shoot a three-pointer? Magical.
I don't think I've ever seen you touch a basketball, to be honest. To be perfectly, I know we're going on a bit here, but I'm just gonna derail this train real quick. I don't think you've seen a basketball,
because
in a
that's
year.
how good I am at basketball. I don't have to look at it; it just goes in.
Fair.
But I decided to go freelance and do my own thing. It felt like the right time to try and do something that was for me, where I was my own boss and I could look at my own work and appreciate what I do, instead of looking for the appreciation of others who wouldn't give it to me.
Well, and I think that's one big thing, because I started at NKU in graphic design.
Yes.
Right. And I slowly started realizing halfway through my sophomore year that I love the arts. I want to support the arts. I absolutely adore the time and chaos that goes into creativity. And yet, as a graphic designer, it's essentially going to turn into me sending 3 examples over to a client. They tell me they want this change, I change it, and then they say, I don't want any of that, let's go with option A kind of stuff. And it wasn't my cup of tea,
right?
Essentially. And I think that's with a lot of creative people, where it's a lot of fun to be creative until it's very much put in a narrow line. And not to say that's wrong or right, it's just what the company needs, and sometimes that just doesn't line up with the creativity that you want to flow with,
right,
versus what they need from you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where you don't want to give a creative necessarily a box, like a strict, locked, don't go outside the box, because you want them to think of things you wouldn't necessarily think of. You don't hire someone to be like, okay, just give me this exact thing, collaborate with them. You've brought ideas to me that I've never thought of before, and I've done that vice versa with you. It should be a fluid process where it's like, okay, you want this? That's great. Let's create this, but I think this may also hit really well. Let's try a little bit of this. It's a process. There's a natural flow to it. You never know where you're going to end up, but you're going to keep going and keep improving and keep doing different things. And I've been very lucky to cut my teeth on a lot of projects, and make a lot of my mistakes early. And granted, I'm still learning. Everyone is always learning. I'm still making mistakes here or there, but I'm always improving. And that's, I think, the biggest part of what it means to be a freelancer.
Yeah, no, and I would agree. And I mean, me being 7+ years in real estate, you're always learning something. There's always something throwing you new, because you're ever adapting, right? Yeah. So when it comes to all of that, at the end of the day, why do you keep doing it? I mean,
because I have to make money. No. I really enjoy the aspect of helping small businesses tell their story and being someone who can bring focus or attention to somebody. I have a very unique set of skills. I like to use my talents and my skills to bring to light things that people wouldn't normally see. And so, for you would reach a wider audience because of the videos I make for you. We are helping illuminate parts of the real estate process that people wouldn't normally think of. You helped me buy my first house last year, and it is crazy to think how helpful filming all these videos have been throughout the entire process. And that, at the end of the day, I think for me is what I like the most, is just helping people. Yeah. And granted, helping people doesn't always, make monetary sense for me, but I like doing things to help people. I filmed a bunch of fringe shows for cheaper than I should have, because these were low budget shows that I felt like deserved to have, a voice. Yeah. And I really like just the aspect of using my talents to help people. Maybe that's the good Catholic boy in me, got to go be the change I wish to see in the world. Yeah. But I've really enjoyed what I've been doing, and I really enjoy getting to work with other people and, make visions come to life. And I don't want to say make dreams come true, because I'm not, I feel like what I do is a very small portion, but I like helping people.
Fair. And I think the biggest aspect, and we've talked about this off microphone, I guess I can say, since there's no camera, but I think one of the biggest things is everyone has a story that's of interest. It's just there's so many people out there that don't value and or think they have the worth that they do, and it is a lot of fun to be able to share those stories of people and their experiences. I mean, let's be real, when it comes to making content, it feels like nothing's original. Everything's rinse and repeat in a sense, and yet when you can find those stories that are a lot of fun or help people see things that they may not have, that makes a big difference.
The important thing too is to remember that despite the fact that everyone has always done content in some way, shape, or form, that it shouldn't stop you from making your own stab in that space. If someone decided just because we already had music, there was no reason to write more music, we would never have the Beatles. We would never have like any of the modern bands. People are always taking what's already made, remixing it, remastering it, changing it, adding their own view. And there should never be a shortage of people attempting to make their creative voice known. Yeah. And if you feel like you don't have a voice, you do. It's a matter of finding the right people who can help you make your voice heard.
Mhm.
And finding the confidence to be like, you know what? I do want to say this, or I do want to show off this part of my life, or I want to sing this song, do this dance. It may be different in a marketing sphere, absolutely.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of overlap that goes with both of them. Ultimately, when you're doing content, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you're marketing yourself. And so it's a little bit more about marketing than you would think.
Yeah, and I think one big thing that people just don't genuinely realize, even if you're just posting on social media, you're your own brand.
Yes.
Right? Business or not, like for me, Adam Cron at Keller Williams, being a realtor, of course, I'm my own brand. But the person, Jimmy, Susan, Tommy, whatever, who's just posting, that's your brand.
Yeah.
What you're posting is your brand. You're posting the things you like. And at the end of the day, it's you sharing your thoughts, your opinions, your stories.
I think the word brand has evolved. If we want to just narrow it down, it's just you. You know, your personal Instagram, if it's public, everyone gets to see it. They're seeing that slice of you. Granted, you get to show what you want to show on that. You know, you can show those videos and pictures of you looking fit on the beach, or you can show the videos and pictures of you eating like Cheetos on the couch watching Game of Thrones again.
Yeah.
You know, like you get a chance to show the world who you want to be rather than just being who you want to be. There's so much that goes into it that you just don't think about. I mean, I like to think everyone's honestly probably pretty good at marketing themselves. If you've ever posted on Facebook and you've been like, ooh, I don't want to show that photo, you have enough awareness of self to be like, oh, that's a side of me I don't want people to see. That affects how people see me. That affects my quote unquote personal brand. You know, and when people are like, we're always marketing, you have a brand, it's like, you really do.
Yeah. The videos, the podcasts, everything else that you help with people is helping them A, understand that, B, figure out what they want their brand to be, and C, also helping them guide of this is distracting of your story, your mission, your goals, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of walking them through that.
It's always a process. I always like to say that progress is a process. You're not going to build a brand overnight. You're not going to become internet famous overnight most of the time.
Most of the time.
But it is important to make those baby steps. If you think that video may help your brand, do it. If you think that starting a podcast will help your brand, do it. There's no harm in trying something and seeing how it affects your views or affects the way that people respond to you. Everything is worth trying at least once in the creative marketing sphere. There's tons of other things in the world that aren't worth trying once.
Yes.
But in terms of what I do, it's like, let's give it a shot. The worst thing you can do is be like, oh, I made 5 videos and then no one responded to them and I chose not to go down that route. You at least are given information of, oh, this is what not to do. But you may get something that catches, and then you may get people that respond to those, and then you may end up with a series. You may end up with more engagement, more views. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's a crazy sphere, and it's always changing too.
And I think that's the biggest part. And kind of like what you said of, at the end of the day, if you think it would help your brand, absolutely. But the other thing is understanding that if you're enjoying that media or that content and you're doing it, that's what matters the most, really, because your authenticity is going to bleed through to the audience.
If you don't enjoy, and I guess we can dive into this more deeply in another episode, but if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then you keep doing it because, oh, it gets me views. Eventually those views will dry up. Yeah. And so you want to make sure you enjoy the content you make, which is why I always make sure to feed Adam biscuits in between each video that we make. So that way he enjoys the content that we make.
Where the fuck it's been 7 years and I've never seen a fucking biscuit in my What are you talking about?
If you keep your talent fed and well fed, you know.
I brought you food this day today.
Yeah, he's keeping me well fed, so we're making good content.
Got you. Perfect. Well, I love that. We do have some more episodes to dive a little bit deeper into what we've sort of discussed here. Brian, this is a loaded question. If people are going to find you on social media, where would they find you?
All right, this is great. So we're actually recording this in July, but by the time this airs, I will have a Brian Murray Media Instagram and Facebook page.
Finally.
That's where you can find all of my content. I'll be posting weekly. The Godzilla podcast is returning in August.
Hell yeah.
So you'll see episode 4 about the sequel to the original Godzilla, so you can find that there. I'll also be posting original music compositions, videos I've worked on over the years. Who knows, I may even do like something of a songwriting series. And when I listen to this again in a month, I'll be like, oh yeah, I had all these plans.
Oh yeah, I said I was going to do that. Shit.
Oh, yeah. But no, so you can find me. It'll be on Instagram and Facebook at Brian Murray Media. And if that is incorrect, then future Brian will edit his voice in right here and let me know. Excellent. Thank you, future Brian.
I just was being quiet so you could do that. Perfect. So, well, thank you, Brian. I'm looking forward to the next 3 episodes we have. I'm really putting us in a box by saying we have 3 episodes left where we have to upload this one first. So thank you, everyone, for joining us on Real Pulse of Real Estate. I really appreciate it. And I am looking forward to sharing some more information with Brian Murray. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Real Pulse of Real Estate. If you're looking for more content, follow me on Instagram or TikTok at I'm Cron Burgundy or Facebook at Adam Cron Realtor. Can't wait for you to join us next week.